بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
The Battle of Karbala was fought on the day of Ashura between the army of the second Umayyad Caliph Yazid and a small army led by Imam Hussein ibn Ali radiyallahu anhu, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at Karbala, Iraq. Prior to his death, Muawiyah radiyallahu anhu appointed his son Yazid as his successor. When Muawiyah radiyallahu anhu died, Yazid demanded that Imam Hussein radiyallahu anhu pledge allegiance to him. Imam refused to do so. As the true representative of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Imam Hussein radiyallahu anhu flatly refused accepting Yazid as a leader of Islam. Yazid commissioned his governor over Medina to ask for Imam's allegiance of loyalty, or else upon refusal, his head. Governor invited Imam to a meeting for the purpose. Imam did not give his word at the meeting. Imam Hussein radiyallahu anhu also knew that giving allegiance of loyalty to an impostor like Yazid would certainly place Islam at great jeopardy, and decided to leave Medina along with his family to proceed to Mecca. While in Mecca, Imam received over 10,000 letters from Kufa urging him to go to Kufa to be their leader, and pledged their allegiance to him. Imam Hussein radiyallahu anhu considered going to Kufa despite the objections of the other Sahaba radiyallahu anhu, and sent his cousin Muslim ibn Aqil radiyallahu anhu to investigate the situation in Iraq. Ibn Aqil radiyallahu anhu arrived in Kufa and found widespread support, and wrote back to Imam of the situation was favorable, suggesting that Imam join them there. The letter indicated that the people were more than ready to welcome the Imam in Kufa and were looking forward to his leadership. Within a short time, the gatherings started to gain momentum. Yazid, through informants, learned about Ibn Aqil radiyallahu anhu successes in Kufa. He removed Hazrat Nu'man radiyallahu anhu from position due to his inaction, and appointed Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad as governor of Kufa, who soon discovered the hideout of Ibn Aqil through an informant. Ibn Ziyad induced Kufan tribal leaders to abandon Ibn Aqil radiyallahu anhu and withdraw their men. Ibn Aqil radiyallahu anhu and the person who provided him shelter were arrested and beheaded by the governor Ibn Ziyad. Imam Hussein radiyallahu anhu left Mecca with his family and a few supporters. Further on the way, the small caravan received the shocking news of the execution of Ibn Aqil radiyallahu anhu and the indifference of the people of Kufa. Imam gathered his companions and disclosed to them about the bad news and said, "Our Shia have deserted us. Those of you who prefer to leave us may do so freely and without guilt." And Imam and his followers continued with the journey and were intercepted by the vanguard of Yazid's army, about 1,000 men led by Hur ibn Yazid Riyahi. Hazrat Hussein radiyallahu anhu said to them, "I did not come to you until your letters were brought to me, and your messengers came to me saying, 'Come to us, for we have no Imam. God may unite us in the truth through you. Since this was your view, I have come to you. Therefore, if you give me what you guaranteed in your covenants and sworn testimonies, I will come to your town. If you will not and are averse to my coming, I will leave you for the place from which I came to you." Imam then showed them the letters he had received from the Kufans, including some in Hur's force. Hur denied any knowledge of the letters and stated that Imam Hussein radiyallahu anhu must go with him to Ibn Ziyad. Hur said, "We are commissioned to follow you until we take you to governor, and also to halt Imam's caravan in a desolate place without fortifications or water, in a move to force them to surrender." Imam, his family, and followers remained without water for 3 days. Imam was forced to head north and encamp in the plain of Karbala on 2nd Muharram, where a larger Umayyad army of some 4,000 arrived soon afterwards. It had been a few days since the water supply was cut off by the enemy. Children were crying for water. The women were desperate for water. Zainul Abidin, the son of Imam Hussein radiallahu anhu, was sick with fever. The suffering from the thirst was too painful to bear, and despite this, not a single person in the camp made any complaints or even questioned the mission of Imam Hussein radiallahu anh. Each member supported the Imam wholeheartedly and enthusiastically. Imam told his men that they were all free to leave with his family, but the companions from Mecca decided to stay with him. Imam and his followers then spent the rest of the night praying. Imam Hussein radiallahu anhu delivered a speech to his opponents, reminding them of his status as Muhammad's sallallahu alaihi wasallam grandson and reproaching them for inviting and then abandoning him. Hur, the commander of the enemy force, felt his conscience violently stirring. He was in turmoil. Upon realizing the gravity of the situation, he suddenly broke away from opposition camp, along with two others. They rushed toward Imam Hussein radiallahu anhu to join his camp. Imam Hussein's radiallahu anhu supporters insisted on being the first to fight. Therefore, they took the brunt of the enemy attack. The battle was ferocious. Within a short time, the Imam's supporters slay a large number of the enemy fighters. So worried and nervous, the enemy commander-in-chief ordered his army not only to set fire to the Imam's tents, which were occupied mostly by frightened females and children, but at the same time reinforced his fighters with more troops. Imam Hussein radiallahu anhu was alone, one man against thousands. He took them on, fighting them bravely, and kept fighting, receiving many wounds in the process. Thousands of enemy fighters were surrounding him, but none dared to move toward him. 70 brave persons had sacrificed their lives in Karbala to save Islam. All had fought under nerve-wracking conditions: severe thirst, dehydration, exhaustion, and agonizing feeling of what would happen to the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam afterwards. Imam Hussein radiallahu anhu endured all that and more, for he saw all his beloved ones brutally cut to pieces, including children. When Shimmer screamed for an attack and screamed again, threatening, and in response they attacked collectively. After Jumu'ah prayer, Imam Hussein was martyred along with most of his relatives and companions, while his surviving family members were captive and after a few years were sent back to Medina.